Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Nux Taku. I didn't think I'd ever say this, but yeah, I totally forgot back in the day he had loads of One Piece videos that I just couldn't check out because I had no idea about anything to do with the series. But I do now! And a few of you mentioned this and I wanted to check it out anyway, but this is the How to Write an Overpowered Opponent, Katakuri. I thought the Katakuri versus Luffy fight was really cool. And there was quite a few layers to it as well. Like Luffy's constantly getting knocked to the ground on his back and he keeps getting up, and Katakuri's thing is like, he's never had his back to the floor, he never even lies down. Well, that's the image he tries to give off anyway. And I feel like this fight really does push them both, like, and he's flashback and everything. Katakuri is the person that's trying to look like he is the be-all, end-all, like, thing. But, yeah, I want to see what Nux Taku had to say on this. There's a few other One Piece videos he's done as well I'm going to check out. This is sick.
Calling it right now, Katakuri's going to end up as the best anime villain of 2018. Even though by 2019, he may not technically be classified as a villain. More on that later. I generally prefer when a villain is done really well, even when a
It's 2018 this happened. Jesus.
Said, I find it far more difficult to write a brilliant
So nearly 4 years. Whoa.
as overpowered as best girl Dogtooth over here. Writing an overpowered antagonist altogether is kind of like unicycling on a tightrope above a vat of molten shit. Yes, had to specify shit because there's a recent trend in my comment section that whenever I use a metaphor to prove a point, there's always a few people that point out that what if he was immune to fire? Note, countermeasures have been taken. As I was saying, writing an overpowered character, especially a villain, is incredibly difficult to pull off from every.
Did a very good job with this, man. Him being able to see the future and then just like, oh. I'll try and stick.
As far as his conclusion, he needs to be beaten respectfully, meaning he can't all of a sudden be way weaker than the feats he's already accomplished in the past. And it also can't be because the protagonist managed to develop some ridiculous, unexplained new power.
I like that even Gear 4 is just like, that's what it takes to just start hurting him.
Nine-tailed Saiyan death god secretly entrusted a one-time use power boost that we never heard of before to protagonist Junior. Katakuri totally blew my mind.
Yeah, because that didn't happen in Naruto at all.
That in the video I made discussing what I believed Big Mom's role was in One Piece about 8 months ago.
Ooh.
The video did not age well. You may not want to see it.
Oh, okay.
After the chapter, Katakuri was revealed that he was able to see slightly into the future. At the end of that video, I stated that I was already looking forward to cover Katakuri in the future because from his first meeting in the manga, I already knew he was going to be a pretty major badass.
Yeah, he's one of those people that's like in the background but looks intimidating, and it's like his character design, man, you know he's doing something.
Characters done right, and you guys seem to really be enjoying it. I am more than honored to have him as the 5th entry to the series, and if you stick around to the end, you'll see why I put him at almost Meruem level.
Ooh, Meruem is a freaking amazing villain, to be fair, like, and he is OP as hell.
Overpowered analysis series, and I am personally so glad I started it because otherwise I would have never had the chance to really analyze Master Katakuri.
Hell yeah.
Never noticed just how brilliant of not only a villain, but how brilliant of a foe, of a rival, and of an all-round character Katakuri really is.
Sick.
In my intro, I stated that everyone overpowered needs to have feats from beforehand. The beauty of this guy is the vibe he emits when he's first met, being the first henchman character in the entirety of the One Piece narrative that is hyped for achieving a power boost we have yet to see, being his fascinating visual premonition.
Yeah, like, it's mentioned, people talk about it, it's like, ooh.
I'm gonna stress the introduction.
Even the gangster dude is like, ah. But I like that just because he can see it doesn't mean that he can necessarily, like, avoid it.
Actually get it to flow the way I wanted it to. To put him in perspective, the first Logia opponent that was truly revealed to have this tremendous offensive and defensive power was Crocodile, the main villain of the saga. The first reveal of Paramecia was Doflamingo, the main villain of his saga, and so on. An underling
I see. Yeah.
Katakuri was at first thought to be shouldn't get that hype boost. Furthermore, if you were to look at basically every single
he isn't the main antagonist.
Their major purpose was to hype the big boss, and all the awe and fear inspired by their own personal presence served the greater purpose to hype the major antagonist of the individual arc more than even them themselves. Take even Katakuri's brother Cracker as an example of this. Even though I will not be analyzing his fight today, his battle focused on the impenetrable might of the Charlotte family, making much mention of all the people that failed to even pass him, something Katakuri didn't need to express because because that's not his character's point. Cracker's purpose was to hype the Empire, was to hype the Sweet Commanders, and to hype Big Mom herself. Katakuri
Yeah, man,
got
she's
hyped more
something
than any
else,
other
Jesus.
character, as I've been pointing out, but all this hype was his own. It was not serving the purpose to exemplify the grandeur and traumatizing fear
Yeah,
of
it
the
was
Big Mom
just him
Empire.
and him alone.
Katakuri fought by his own name alone.
Yeah.
In our first meeting of the guy, before he even raised a finger, he stood apart from every other minor antagonist in the series, so despite not directly showing his legendary accomplishments, a seed was planted in the mind of every viewer from his first appearance in the series that this guy is going to be a badass foe. That, and he possibly has the most epic character design.
Yeah, his design is sick, like, I absolutely love it, it's great. The mouth being covered as well, it's like...
As a stoic-looking, cautious badass, juxtaposed to the rest of the leering and jeering, overconfident...
Yeah, they are so loud, aren't they? Everyone else is just like, rah, look at me, I'm a genie, rah, rah.
And that's the main point his introduction really needed to get across. Oda was telling us that there's something different about this guy, keep an eye on him. I was planning on making a video on his introduction alone, so I was notably paying attention to his actions back from the way he was set up, and whether you noticed it or not, subconsciously, he was the central focal point of attention for everyone. Well, this is fine, and a great and wonderful way to introduce any character that will have any role to play in the future, but it's an especially powerful narrative method to subconsciously expect an overpowered character already curious of what this bastard is going to bring to the table. This takes advantage of one of the three fashions in how to hype an overpowered character properly. Firstly is the Madara method, where a character is essentially a legend, commanding fears.
Everyone's mentioning it in the background, and it's like, oh.
A properly placed hype is actually realizing
That's dead funny. Yeah, because even still to this day, Swag Kage comment sections just, yeah, but Madara.
The second method is the Blackbeard approach. We know of him, and we know he's powerful, but
we don't know why.
He takes one little action that rocks the fabric of his defined universe.
Yeah, like, we've just had a brief glimpse at him with the guy from Thriller Bark, and it's like, really? Come on!
Coming soon to theaters. That'll probably start off as analysis, cap off in the theory territory, because the way I see it, there's only one or two.
There's so many One Piece videos Nux Taku's done now, so I might do one every week. God Usopp, man.
And finally, we have Katakuri, whose genius lies in his lack of action and his sheer lack of conventionality. As a seeming support villain that possesses more novel and overwhelming skill sets than even the arc's major antagonist, giving my
Yeah, like, he does a hell of a lot more than Big Mom does, like.
overpowered foreshadowing in One Piece. That is, after our Lord and Savior Usopp-sama, that fucking badass. His unique visual hockey gives him another leg up as far as being an attention whore. Obviously, he's the first to take action, being that he had that premonition. But
yeah,
more importantly,
he knows what's going to happen, yeah.
He made the first move, our attention by default was on him as the threat of the scenario above even Big Mom. I really didn't mean to spend this much time on this point, because even though first impressions are exorbitantly important, how they can alter one's entire perception of a character or story, his is crucial to understanding his role to play in his battle against Luffy and beyond. Because if you think of overpowered characters, we know they're overpowered before the massive clash. The reason that's done is simply because it makes the threat all the more real and all the more tangible for our protagonist. But the beauty of Katakuri is unlike every other overpowered anime villain that I can think of, everything we know about him and all the perceptions we have of him are all given to us purely by his battle against Luffy.
Yeah, it's just him, isn't it? We don't see anything until he actually just goes straight in with Luffy, yeah.
And still made him one of the most impressionable characters of the franchise. Heck, a large percentage of the One Piece fanbase, me included, was rooting for Katakuri over our protagonist. And as far as shonen protagonists
I mean, I wasn't. It was fucking cool to watch, like, but... Well, to read.
Far more often than it probably should. You know, like Ukiyoda from Bleach, Kiro from JoJo's, Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. Anyway, back on topic.
Damn.
If you already subscribe to me, you probably know I'm a bit of a weirdo. But I'm a weirdo that can at least back up my weirdness, so I therefore give
I love a
myself
good bad guy, and I
like
liked Katakuri, man.
Thanks for the support, guys. Moving on, Luffy enters the ring with Katakuri, and before they even begin to square off, we can already gauge the power gap between them. From Luffy's past
Do you mean
battle
gauge?
with
Gauge.
three prominent conditions that favored him in that battle. Firstly, he got support from Nami, literally dampening Cracker's attacks.
That was class. I like that. That was quite funny, that.
With Luffy literally eating whatever was thrown at him. Secondly, no matter how much he ate, it does not hinder his fighting style because it can be molded into a new form of
Yeah, Gear 4, yeah. Just like, huge.
Characters are bottomless fucking pits, and I wouldn't put it past Luffy to eat the entire fucking Sweet Kingdom. It's important
Mate,
that Luffy had
imagine.
this, because
Imagine.
without that, Then
What does the
Crackers
scouter
and
say?
especially Luffy's before even a punch is thrown. All this beautifully checks off the first criteria required in an overpowered character, being rightfully scaled, but the beauty in how we understand his vast strength is purely from context alone. Now we can move on to phase 2. Now that we've covered how he's both rightfully overpowered and fascinatingly different in his attention grabbing than pretty much everyone else, it's also nice to notice that both of these feats he's accomplished were both done without him not saying a word and without taking any action. Retained his stoicism. And there was no bronchitosis either, which is a plus. Bronchitosis, for those of you who don't know, is an enemy illness that usually plagues support characters where they explain to the viewers obvious shit that we really should have been able to pick up by ourselves. The name is inspired by Brock himself, as seen here. Pluto, it's time for Manga! It raises both attack and defense power, which means he's planning to finish us now.
My
No shit, Sherlock!
God.
I know it was at that point, but you see exactly why I needed to do so in just a moment. The enemy fight had one moment that cemented his character in my mind and established who he is, putting all
That's
the pieces
amazing.
together
It's like,
as
we
far
get
as
it.
his
We
future
get it.
and in retrospect. And that scene I'm referring to is a scene that triggered a large percentage of the fan base, me included at first. When Luffy got injured during their battle due to an outside force and Katakuri impaled himself to keep the fight even.
Yeah.
Eventually resulted in his ultimate downfall. This moment created exasperation in the fandom
Because didn't she fire an arrow or something, the girl from the side?
Character action, and we see them both fairly often. Firstly, he's either a battle monger and he wanted a fun, fair fight, or secondly, his intentions are to crush the dreams of his adversary that even with a massive self-inflicted wound is overwhelming.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna kill you anyway.
Similarity between both of these character mindsets. If they lose, they lost purely due to their overinflated sin of pride, and it results in a victory that does not feel earned.
So cool, man.
Katakuri is the first character in any form of media, to my recollection, that takes this action and does not fall into any of these two defining categories, and instead uses this moment to paint everything we've seen until now in a completely different light. That's why I believe everyone loves this character, even though no one credits it to this scene, and that just makes it all the cooler when it's actually realized. I get a lot of flack for this type of analysis in the analysis community, but I find analyzing the emotional state of the characters and viewers to be fascinating, and I hope you will too.
It was interesting.
At the
It was
start of
interesting.
the battle, the Luffster was getting wrecked.
The Luffster.
And every time he fell, Katakuri would grab that chance to deal a decimating blow. But by the end of the battle, if you noticed, whenever Luffy would get knocked down, Katakuri would ask him, "Is that all?"
Yeah, is that it?
"Well, this
Is that it?
stay down.
Come on,
You're
is
more
that it?
pathetic than I thought."
Yeah.
Those words driving Luffy back to his feet,
Keeps
making
getting up
him a far more
every
threatening
time.
resistance to Big Mom's entire empire. Towards the end of the fight, he no longer used Luffy's exhaustion to his advantage or as an edge in battle. Towards the end, he did everything in his power for this fight to continue as long as possible, and to end it in the most climactic fashion imaginable. I only noticed that while I was researching for this analysis, and it is so fucking cool how it plays perfectly into the thought I'm trying to promote exactly. The turning point at the core of the battle was the block of time from when Luffy exposed Katakuri's true identity to his siblings until Katakuri impaled himself, where Luffy said, "Hey, we're pirates, no need to play fair." From Luffy's perspective, he was against the ultimate overpowered stumbling block, which possessed an evolved form of all of his powers, from his devil fruit to his conqueror's haki. And because of that, the fanbase regarded Katakuri as the ultimate obstacle presented to spike Luffy's growth. But most of us, including me initially, disregarded Katakuri's own perspective, which is arguably far more important than even Luffy's.
Okay, yeah, because he's got...
lived his entire life sheltered in his own mind, from even his family, to the point that they knew nothing about him. They've never seen him eat, they've never seen
Yeah,
him
because he
ride
hides his
around,
way in
they've
his
never
little
seen
chocolate
him
house,
around.
doesn't he, to
The only
eat stuff and like lies down, chilling, like, I don't have to pretend anymore.
His own nature was because he felt different and alone. In his mind, he was always an outcast.
People picked on his,
so
like,
he had to take
mouth
his
when he was a
stoic
kid, didn't they?
badass role if he expected any form of camaraderie and respect. And it was working. It's not like it made him any more comfortable around his supposed friends, because to them, it was all just an illusion, and he knew that. Just like Luffy, who saw him to be a super developed version of himself. Even though it isn't stated yet, I'm pretty fairly certain that Katakuri regarded Luffy a very similar way, but from the opposite direction. So here's why that long dissection of both his introduction and turning point of the battle was so important.
Okay.
Cracker describes him as another far more powerful member of the Sweet Commanders. Right now, our perspective of the guy is as a lackey of Big Mom, in the same fashion Cracker was.
Yeah.
Just far more powerful. But then that perception is shattered, as I've expressed in length,
Completely.
when he becomes a standalone force. force to be reckoned
Yeah, it's like, that's literally it. Every page is just those two. It's like, whoa. And like he said, Doflamingo and bloody Crocodile, they've been the main, like, fighting, like, thing that he's got to defeat. And they've been the main bad guy of the arc.
And takes every opportunity to defeat him, beating him when he's down. He's regarded as a lackey. But then Luffy looks at him as a person, when even his own siblings would not. And Katakuri impales himself, clearly acting as his own person and defying once again his position of Big Mom's underling. This completes a second parallel of the same character plot. You ready for the good part?
Here we go.
Now the groundwork has been laid to fully express why Katakuri is easily in my 5 most brilliantly crafted characters in One Piece, because everything we've seen until this point in the entire Whole Cake Island arc is the first aspect of the grand Katakuri parallel in his character writing. Nuances aside, this whole time, he's ultimately acting as an agent of Big Mom, being Phase 1 in his character. Phase 2 is when he will no longer be following the orders of his Yonko, and when he will act as his own man, creating the perfect symmetrical character balance Oda always yearns for. Maybe saving Luffy or joining his fleet, but that's in the future. Thank you so much.
It would
for
be
watching.
interesting to see Katakuri do something later on, yeah.
Thank you so much for the awesome editing. Until now, I can say with certainty that he's the most brilliantly written, overpowered adversary Luffy's ever faced, from both Luffy's perspective and his own. So much for watching my Katakuri Overpowered analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to join the fan base for more Overpowered analyses or One Piece content, which I do plan to start getting into. Not exactly used to editing manga pages, though, so I will hope to improve on that end. Feel free to share
Interesting, very interesting to see this early stuff as well, yeah. This is like, oh, hope the outro's in. Please be the outro. Do 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 do.
freaking love Katakuri. In the meantime, I'm a weirdo and I do both analyses and satire videos. Feel free to check them out. Let me know in the comments if there are any topics you'd particularly like me to cover in the future. Thanks for sticking around. Stay weird, fam.
Yes. Oh no, it's not going to do the changing of the... No! So that's cool, there's loads of One Piece videos. So what I'll do is, instead of just like piling, I think every week I'll react to a different like One Piece related video from Nux. Because why not? It's interesting to get perspective in that, and I want to see other people's opinions and stuff on it as well. So yeah, because there's 2 spooky videos as well. There's Tekken 101 videos. There's a couple of others basement videos still. Yeah, Katakuri Luffy was a really good fight, and yeah, really interesting character, and it was nice to watch an old Nux Taku video. It takes me back to when I was living in the old place. Anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you don't have your name at the end of every video, I upload a link in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month for the last help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you all for that, and thank everybody here for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what you're watching in future videos, and I'll see you guys.